welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be doing a different kind of video for you. This is going to be Autism, a Mother's Point of View Part 2. I've already done a Mother's Point of View autistic video, and I will leave the first one down in the description below. I have two boys who are 11 and 13, and they both have autism. They are on the higher spectrum of autism. It's actually all under the same umbrella, which is called ASD, and it is Autism Spectrum Disorder. And I will say most autism is found more in boys than it is girls. Most cases you really don't have two children that actually have autism, so I guess I'm just a lucky one of the lucky ones. And I'm not going to do a book text review of exactly what autism is either. Autism does affect the brain. It can be genetical, or it actually can be to where your child is just born with it. I had both of my kids tested at the same time. They were both tested at a program called TAP in Springfield, Illinois, and TAP stands for the Autism Program. And what they did was both of my kids went in at the same time, and they both they did a series of tests. It was nothing too harmful. They weren't hurt or anything like that by it. They pretty much just did kind of some socialization tests. They did some brain building tests and stuff like that, just to kind of see how they were with other kids, how they played, stuff like that. And this probably happened about 4 years ago. And the reason why we had them tested is because the boys were actually misdiagnosed at first, and they were misdiagnosed with ADHD. In fact, they thought my youngest more had bipolar than he did ADHD, which can be quite scary because I actually have family members that have bipolar in my family, and so it's a scary thing knowing that your kid might have bipolar disease. So we had, and we're blessed with a wonderful social worker. Unfortunately, this social worker does not work there anymore, but they have a good one now. And she actually knew a lot about autism, and she actually noticed that my kids had more of kind of the Asperger's side, which at one time they separated autism into different things, but like I said, now it's all under the same umbrella, which is ASD. And she, bless her heart, let us know about the autism program in Springfield and kind of let us know everything about autism. And she was just a blessing for my children. She was just a blessing, period. She knew exactly how to read my boys. She knew exactly when they were actually getting ready to have a meltdown. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about both of my children individually. Kids with autism have many, many, many different aspects of it. You have some children that are nonverbal. You have some children that are perfectly fine, can go to a normal school, and they more or less just have some socialization skills and stuff like that. And then you also have some children that actually have behaviors as well. And that's why it's so hard to pinpoint what kind of autism it is, and that's why they put it under the same umbrella, because from point A to point Z, there is many different signs of it. So my oldest, who is 13, was diagnosed a couple years ago with the autism program, and he has more of the anti-socialization. He stays on focus with one thing. He gets very, very anxious when things do not go his way, and has to have kind of like a timeout. He is a very brilliant child, very brilliant. Luckily, I have not had to have, my kids never bring home homework, neither one of them. And the reason for that, I think, is because they are just, one thing with autism that I've noticed with both of my kids is they've almost got a photogenic memory, to where once it's in their head, it's in their head, and it's in their head forever. My oldest also is a child that very rarely he won't go into sports. He is on his Scholastic Bowl team. He is in band, and he's actually getting ready to do a spelling bee. Other than that, he's not really much into athletics, and the reason for that is because one thing that he does not like is losing. I can try to teach him everything in the book about how, you know, it's not about winning or losing, it's about having fun, but in his mind, it's, I don't want to lose. So I can kind of, you know, relate to that a little bit. And that's kind of about kind of where my oldest is. Whereas my youngest, my 11-year-old, he has more of like the behavioral side of things, where he runs away. He has hit himself, bit himself, scratched himself. He has thrown things at school. Whereas most things would be a tantrum and would eventually calm down, once their behaviors start, it's very hard to get them to stop. Sometimes we have like not held him down, not restrained him or anything, but we have had to literally grasp a hug on him, because a lot of children with autism like that closeness, like of a hug, or they actually make like weighted vests for your children to wear, to where it kind of feels like they have that pressure on them at all times, and they like that. My youngest is very brilliant and very smart again. And I mean, it's not, I will say it's not as bad as it was when he was younger. It's almost as if as he's maturing, he is actually starting to control his behaviors a little bit more. But like I said, he has ran from the school. And the reason why he does that is because when he gets mad, his first intuition is to run. And the first place he wants to go is home. I mean, who doesn't feel safe at home? So that's his first intuition. It doesn't happen very often anymore. He used to, when he was younger, he used to throw chairs when he got mad, pencils, and stuff like that. He really doesn't do that as much now because he knows how to control it. And that's one good thing about kids with autism. Some of them, as they get older and as they mature, can control their behaviors a little bit more than probably the ones that have the harsher stages of it. But there are still times when we have behaviors and meltdowns and there's no controlling it. There's just not. And I understand some of this stuff is still kind of repetitive from my first video, but I feel like parents need to know kind of what autism is. What to kind of look for in autism, but also know that if you have a child with autism, they are no different than any other child out there. My children are in a normal school with every other child out there. I have actually fought for my children to not even be in special education. They are in normal, everyday classes. And I treat my children like any other parent would treat their child. We just have those obstacles that we have to deal with sometimes on the, running away, getting mad, stuff like that. I have noticed sometimes too when it comes to my children as well, they don't really get, once they've got something focused in their head, that thing is on their mind forever until, they could be focused on one thing for 6 months or 3 days. That's kind of another thing maybe to look for. But like I said, my children are no different than any other child out there. They just have a little bit more things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. But, and that is kind of something that I tell a lot of people is just because your child is autistic does not mean that they are different than any other child out there. And they're just not. I'm very blessed because my children's school have put a lot of interventions in place for my children. A lot. I will say that I am very kind of nervous. My oldest is in junior high. Next year he will be in 8th grade and then he will go into high school. I am a little nervous about that because I am worried about him transitioning from junior high to high school where it's going to be a lot more busier, a lot more chaotic, and children with autism don't like change. We try to keep everything the same and in a routine every day. So that's kind of another thing. My children are very picky eaters. So that's kind of, that's kind of it, really. My children are my world. They are my everything. Without my children, I don't know what I would be doing in life. I was blessed with some very, very good little boys who I know are going to grow up to be very, very good men. And I am hoping that, I guess the only thing that I hope when my children get older is, and grow up, is that they are treated in society like every other adult human being out there. I guess that it's just one thing that lays on my mind quite often. So that is my video of my 2 little boys with autism. We're gonna pop them on here. We're gonna have you meet them a little bit. So I am going to actually introduce you to my children at this time. If you guys want to come on over. This is my youngest, Reese, and this is my 11-year-old. He's got the cute little dimples on, and then he's my little boy.
Yeah, bro.
And then here is my young man, Canyon. You're gonna have to kind of bend down just a little bit, Canyon. Come here. Just kind of bend down just a little bit. This is my youngest Canyon. He is, or oldest Canyon. He is 13, and yeah. So these are my children. They are normal children just like yours. They just have a little bit extra special touches in their life. So I hope you have an amazing day. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, as well as go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell button beside it. Again, I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you in my next video. Say bye, beauties. Stay beautiful.
Bye. Bye.